Welcome to Home Dad Chat, brought to you by the National At-Home Dad Network. My name is Brock,
My name is Danny.
and we are here to talk about life as stay-at-home dads. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
No, I don't want much. I even love handmade crafts made of macaroni. Come on now, you should know me. Times I might eat too much. No worry about my weight, got the dad bod rocking on me. Sketches on my feet, cargo shorts look good on me. I'm a dad, that's what I do.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. Hope you've had a great week. If it wasn't for these technical difficulties, I know, I'm just kidding. It's been a good week. Danny, you have one of the most interesting hats I have seen you wear in a while, sir.
Well, it's I don't know what it's from. I don't know exactly what it's from, but I picked it up for Pride Month. It was in the end cap of all the Pride items at the store, and I was picking up some stickers. And June is Pride Month, so they have all the, hey, gay people, we'd love to have your money type stuff going. And that's what it is. It's the one month of the year they're like, oh no, we love you, and
everything rainbows. Yeah.
Right. So, but it's it's a black hat with two skulls, basically barfing a rainbow at each other, kind of. So I don't know what it means, or
rainbow barfing fight.
Yeah, I don't know, but I'm like, because there's not a lot of because I don't really love like a full on rainbow hat. They have like the visor, and honestly, I did think about picking up the visor, and then I'm like, you are so old. Why would you put on that visor? You know you're going to be way older.
Hey, old man,
and it would
you going to play volleyball?
Right? Are you going to go bird watch? Is that what you're doing? Yes, that's where we'd be.
Watch.
And it was that would be the peak where I know I'm going downhill. So, and I'm like, I kind of would like the visor, because then I can see, through the front of it, instead of like, and I'm like, when are you going to look up through the visor of your hat, you moron? Just put it down. So yeah, it's just creeping up on me.
I think the
But
last
I like
visor.
this hat. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a cool hat, man. I like it
because it's skulls and it's black, and it looks cool, and it covers my awful hair. So yay, win.
So the last time I wore a visor was back in college, so it's been a while.
Were you playing tennis?
No, I was actually a mechanic for the cycling team, and so it was a Trek hat.
All right, yeah.
It was like a giveaway item. Trek was.
I think cycling would make more sense to need a visor, wouldn't it? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, there's like the bike caps that guys wear when they don't have their helmets on and stuff. That has the like bent up bill or whatever. But yeah, it's more of like the wearing a brand around type of thing. Like some guys wear like a Nike visor. For a lot of the cyclists, they wore Trek and other cycling brands. So it's all good. But yeah, man, tonight we have our very first HomeDadCon speaker on, and I am very excited to talk to this gentleman because I don't really know a whole lot about him, and I think that will be even a better conversations, because I'd say that a good majority of the attendees have not met this gentleman as well. So we're probably going to learn a lot tonight, I have a feeling. But
yeah, it should be good.
Yeah, but he's written a book. He's also I can't even talk right now. He's involved with mental health and
licensed mental health counselor.
There it is. Yeah, there's a lot of
LMHC.
There's a lot of letters.
That's 4 whole letters. I get it. Yeah.
It's tripping me up though.
Been a long day.
Yeah. So so we'll have him on here in just a moment, and I'm really excited to talk to him, and I hope that everybody enjoys the show. So we'll be right back. Become a member of the National At-Home Dad Network, an organization focused on providing advocacy, community, education, and support, connecting with households where dad is the primary caregiver of the children. We do this through our webinar and podcast series, mental health support groups, regular online social events, as well as our annual convention. The National At-Home Dad Network is a 100% volunteer organization. Without the generous support of its members and the community around it, we would not be able to continue the work that we do. Becoming a member gives you access to past convention speaker presentations, the ability to vote for board members annually, and ensures that the organization's fees and bills are in positive standing. Oh yeah, It should not go unmentioned that there is some cool swag headed your way if you decide to become a member. For only $35 a year, your membership provides you with the exclusive content only we can generate, and you'll be supporting an organization that benefits families all around the country and world. By advocating for them, offering them community, providing education and guidance, and supporting them to grow in their parenthood journey. And one last thing, if you contribute $500 or more, you will become a lifetime member. Not only will you receive everything already mentioned, but also a certificate recognizing your status and an exclusive National At-Home Dad Network Challenge coin with our trademark logo, Dads Don't Babysit. So, what are you waiting for? Become a member today. All right, and we are back, and just like I was telling you, we do have our guest with us, and we are very excited to talk to them. We were just talking a little bit about the fact that we're going to try to make this a short show just because everybody's got kids sort of pushing up against the doors saying, Dad, let me in. So, yeah, we'll see where that goes.
But if it actually happens.
If it actually happens, I'm horrible at it. I'm sure most of the guys are probably going, yeah, right, Brock. But
put a tripwire, that's it. It sounds the alarm. You know,
exactly. So Mike Trenk is with us. As we said, he is our very first HomeDadCon speaker for this year, and really excited to just talk with him about how he got connected with HomeDadCon and what he's looking to present. But before we get into all that, Mike, share a little bit about who you are. Tell us a little bit about your family dynamic.
So yes, my name is Mike Trenk. A little bit about me. It's always feel like that loaded question of where do you start? What avenue? Where do you go? I guess the first thing that pops to mind is I am a therapist. So doing this kind of like via video I've already done a few hours of this today. So I feel like I'm very comfortable and warm with that. So I kind of lived in different parts of the country. I moved to a new place down south a year ago. So brought my two kids, two young boys, and getting acclimated, getting used to a new place, new environment. As I said, I am a mental health counselor, licensed mental health counselor now, and I've taken a strange path towards it. I never went to college for that. I initially went to college and worked at the radio station, and was a communications major, thinking I'd work in radio or TV or something like that. And yeah, that went up in a ball of smoke quickly. So you take the fallback job of doing insurance for a while, and slowly but surely, I'm like, there's more to life. There's got to be something more. So I quit insurance a couple times. I quit insurance once. I worked at a comedy club for about a year and a half, and used my production background, and I got a foray into stand-up comedy. I was able to do some events and throughout the South, and I was Tampa's funniest person in 2007. I don't have that poster up yet. I got to dig that one out and put that in the background. And that was a great time. I mean, money wasn't great, but it was one of those stories that you can tell and part of who I am. And from there, it was turning 30 and kind of getting that pressure from mom and others of, what are you doing with your life? Where you go? Where is the stability? Where are you this weekend? And yeah, I kind of felt like maybe she's right. Maybe I'll try insurance again. So I moved up north, and yeah, I didn't like it, but I did find my wife, and met her through Kickball League, one of those funny things in your 30s. And I was like, you know what? I know we just met, but I think I'm going back to school and I'm going to go into psychology. So she's been with me since the beginning. And yeah, nice. I was glad that I took that chance in my 30s, because I don't think a lot of people don't. I think that kind of started our path of together, and listening to some of your guys' prior episodes of, I feel there's a bond and connection in terms of we've had our own plan since we got married and since I started going back into school for psychology of, if you get, when you get licensed, that you can work for yourself. And then when we do have kids, that I could be home more, which was always a goal of mine in the back of my mind of, I'd like to spend more time with my kids than my dad spent with me. There was always something in my mind about that. Mm-hmm. And it was important to me to do that. And so that was kind of our plan and goal. And then when it actually comes in 2017, you're like, okay, well, thought is one thing, and actually trying to balance out of, I have a screaming child, and I have, still full, I would kind of cut down a little bit. I was still working in an agency, wasn't by myself yet. And that had some extra stress. And yeah, just trying to find that balance. And that's where one thing that I'm working on the side now, along with my practice, is DADennial. So it's kind of taking the millennia, the new world that we're in now, that all our kids are on screen time and everything that I see as a therapist and working with families for years now. And just being a dad, like those two thoughts of, so I'm a stay-at-home dad, and then I also see it from the lens of families, working with dads and working with parents of, what it's like being a parent in general now. It's how different it is from our parents' generation raising us. Of there's so many different factors and things we have to think about and worry about, and it's a very different platform and world that we're in right now. And so I still kind of kept some other side projects. I wanted to start working on DADennial, and I always kind of an ode to my first son. I wrote a book. There's a children's book out there called Howl's Worst Wednesday. Wasn't many copies. If you find one, it's a rare antique, probably sell on eBay for $500.
I mean, I got it pulled up here on Amazon right now. So
what's it going for?
Hardcover $15.54.
Oh, all right.
Yeah,
didn't know there were still copies. I know I donated some. So yeah, that was kind of my first foray into using my mental health background and having a kid. Of there's coping skills in it. There's things of kind of how do you get through a tough day as a kid. And yeah, now I feel the pressure of, I have a second book, but haven't gotten published or haven't put it out there. And I'm sure my youngest is only almost 4 now, but I'm sure in a couple of years, like, Dad, come on, you wrote the first one, a book dedicated to him. Where's my book?
Where's my book?
Yeah. Where's my dedication? We know who the
I
favorite
know who
child
your
is now.
favorite is. Yeah,
that sounds like
Yep.
me. I've
Yep.
got my first son's tattoo of his footprints on my chest, but I don't have my daughter's yet. It's
Yeah.
like
It's
she's
the
gonna
second kid
return 8.
syndrome.
Yeah.
There's something to it of like, they're okay. But yeah, I put that out there because my second son never listens to it. See, I'm thinking of you. It's there. Just gotta get it done.
How old are your kids, by the way?
3 and 6. And when I heard, I think the last episode of today was my last day of my 3-year-old being in preschool. It was my last day to have that 20-minute nap of quietness. Now it's the summer of Henry. It's that age of, I feel like 3 and 4 is that age of, there's not a whole lot of camps, a whole lot of half-day options. It's it's either daycare or bust. And it's, so we don't really have them in daycare, just a half-day preschool throughout like the school year.
Yep.
So it's tomorrow is the last day, so it's a sad day. So I got my last nap in, and trying to figure out of what to do for the summer. But yeah. My wrap up was just still writing some books, and now currently with the practice, I've started the podcast of DADennial. I feel like that was a good way of reaching more than just one person at a time in session, of being able to kind of have that voice, have the support, have people from different backgrounds, different cultures, having different voices of what it's like being dad.
Yeah.
And I just started that. There's 2 episodes up right now. Third part 2 should be up hopefully within the week, I believe. And that's been really good so far, I feel like. And it was actually through my second episode, a friend of mine, Caesar, that was on. He had talked about one of our things we had talked about of dad and what it's like of that. I feel like a common thing that we were talking about was when we're out with our kids younger. I have experiences with my kids. I don't know about you guys, but of that you kind of get from people of, oh, it's nice that you took the day off, or oh, it's nice to see you babysitting, or that's good that you're a new age dad. And
it's really sad
of,
that is still like the thing. Like, I mean,
yeah.
Danny's been in the game for quite a while. I've been in the game for a lot shorter than he has, but still feels like quite a while. And that has been like this mantra of society towards dads for decades, and it's really getting old. But you're not alone, trust me. Like I think pretty much everybody.
No, I completely agree. I think I think the one thing though is, as we're talking about it now, I think a lot of us have experienced that, but not a lot of us have voiced that. I think just getting it out there more is the way to change that, is the way to kind of break that mold of, yeah, that's something that you would probably say to my dad who was babysitting or just taking a couple hours. I took that one day off in the summer. I was like, fine, I'll do something with him. Fine,
Right.
get him
Yeah.
off your hands. And it has changed since then. So
Yeah.
we were talking about that, and he had found you guys and had gotten the shirt of Dads Don't Babysit.
Yes.
And
Got the red one.
He put that on my podcast, and he told me about you guys. And I, to my looking through all my podcasts, I did see you guys, and read more and saw that not only the podcast and all that you do, saw about the conference this year, and I've done plenty of speaking and public speaking, and wanted to kind of get this DADennial piece, and that's actually a piece of DADennial, of some of these common misconceptions that we kind of hear of this kind of broken, societal kind of norms on the other side now of dads, and kind of having the support, and kind of, DADennial is that kind of thing of, all right, how do we go forward from here as dads, as parents, and have the support that moms have, that that's always been there and ingrained, and kind of that norm that's been there for a while now of, moms do a lot, right? Moms are always there, and dads are always there too, as as most hopefully are. But that's, I think we need to get out there more of, right, we're not babysitting, we're not, this isn't the old norm. I think is just for myself, of, I think in that 2017, like mid 2015s, whatever, of seeing of, all right, we've kind of gotten more and more coverage of what a bad guy looks like, and what that kind of prior generation, now it's kind of like going forward of, yeah, so how do we work together to like emphasize and promote that of, hey, here's guys that are doing it the right way, here's dads that are there for their kids, that pick up and drop off in soccer, and I mean, I know I'm going on here, I know I'm being my therapist self and doing the talking, but
no, you're fine.
you can give me the 5 or the cut it here at any time here. But I feel like today is just one of those DADennial type days, as I kind of say to them. And it's right from carpool in the morning to picking up a kid, dropping off a kid, going to a doctor, going to a dentist, grabbing dinner, having a couple sessions. Here I am. And that's okay, been okay for that women finding the balance, like my wife, right? She works full time, and she's also home with the kids when I'm in session, and she has the support, and that's great. And I think just the men need the support too. And I guess the last thing I'll say is what was like that really big light bulb was with my wife's mom's group at the time when our first kid was born, and she went back to work, and I was kind of struggling with, what do I do, where do I go, take it besides the grocery store and doing a few things with him. And she's like, well, let me reach out. And they go to the playground a couple times a week. I've been going with this person and that person, and everyone, just good way to get out. And she reached out, and they're like, nope, we don't feel comfortable, we don't want, it's not for men, it's just for women. And it was the kind of thing of like, well, and even my wife said it, like, they know you're a therapist, like, of all guys, you get it, you understand it, like, you're, they know you, like, they've already met you, they've seen you, they've hung out with you, and even kind of floored her, I guess, like, I'm like, yeah, this is what I'm talking about, this is what I get. Even kind of made her sit back of like, whoa, that's crazy. Like, why isn't it just a parents group? Why does that have to be a mom's group or a dad's group or whatever? We're all just trying to be there for our kids, and that propelled it to where we are today.
Yeah, and showing up. I mean, I've been to the playground, of course, a lot with my kids, and I have 4 kids, right? So it's always at least 2 with me, and we'll go to the playground, and I've had people look at me like, "What are you doing here?" And I'm pretty extroverted, and I will just talk to people, or I'll just ignore them if I think they're going to be ding dong. So I've never had anybody actually say, "Are you babysitting?" But it is such a common mindset for so many reasons. And I mean, I show up and I'm like, I'm not. What do you think? I'm going to take your kids? I brought my own kids. I don't want more. I am done. I'm here. Right. But like you said, it's that immediate thing where, oh, well, and they don't know how to take it because it's been so uncommon for so long. And we have been making changes, and we have been doing things differently, and we've been showing and moving into even to where we have certain groups that are helping dads be at the school more. And not necessarily just at-home dads, but just dads that want to be more involved, and especially with I would say probably starting with the millennials. Now they're all like in their 30s, 40 years old, in that range right now, where they have decided, like you said earlier, I don't like the way my dad wasn't there, or I don't like the way my dad just never knew what was going on. And I want to know what's going on. I want to have eyes on what, when you bring something home, if you bring a clay thing you made at school, I want you to bring it to me too. And I want to be part of that response of, oh man, that's the best looking little clay thing I've ever seen. Because you want to be involved, both at the school level, but then also before and after the school. At-home dads, at-home parents in general get a lot more of their kids, sometimes more than we want. But the reality of it is, and we have talked about this a dozen, 100 times, who knows, that nurturing doesn't have anything to do with male or female. Caretaking doesn't have anything to do with male or female. There's nothing, there's no fathering jobs around the house or tasks or chores. It's not fathering and mothering. It's just you're a parent. And other than birthing the child, okay, it's 50-50 who can do this best, or that kind of thing. So the equity in that, the gender equity that we look for in the home. So I think you're definitely preaching to the choir.
I guess first I'll say is, I'm in that weird zone of, I don't know if you've ever heard of Xennial, of like that late 70s, early 80s of, it's like that last 5 years. And like, it's ingrained in my brain of how crazy looking back it changed, of that went through high school and almost all of college with no cell phones, no laptops, of the analog ways of going to the library, microfiche, the whole nine.
Oh yeah.
And then poof, within like, a couple of years of everyone's got a cell phone, of like just remembering that, like, wait a minute, 2 years ago, I was on a freshman, we all had to go to the computer lab, and that's where no one had a desktop or laptop. And 2 years later, everyone's got like, this
2 years prior to that, you were going to a payphone and saying, basketball practice is done, come pick me up, click.
Oh yeah. No, it's so it is from that Xennial standpoint to the millennials, and all these kind of who are the parents now, with just that mindset more so of, than the generational, right? Like, it can be grandfather, it's, whoever's in that parenting role, whoever takes care of the kid. I think the one phrase that comes to my mind that kind of always sticks with me in this, I guess, the grand scheme of things is, right, I don't want to have that thought of, I wish I spent more time. I wish I, was there more. I know I won't have that question at some point in life of, no, I was there as much as I wanted to be there, and I did as much as I wanted and I could, and that means more to me. And what we're talking about is, and the change hats here of going into the therapy side of it, if it's breaking the cycle, right? It's just what we knew growing up, and that's and doing what we're all doing here, having this conversation, is breaking that cycle of, and I can look back and honestly say, even with my own dad, if he was breaking his cycle, right, he was trying to do better than his dad, than grandpa was doing. And, by spending even a couple of days and doing things like that, that's more than grandpa did. And we're trying to progress it forward, where hopefully our kids, right, that norm for them is, well, dad was around every day. Dad was there for me. Dad saw my, Play-Doh dinosaurs my kids show me today when I picked them up. It's those moments and things of, so that's his norm. So when he grows up, and if he has his own family, he'll know this is normal and want to progress to the next, level.
And have expectations of it. I mean, I know so many kids that my kids will talk to, and they're like, your dad does what? What is he cooking? Is he grilling? He's in the kitchen. What's he doing? Does your mom know? Kind of feeling, because again, it is so unusual, or it has been so unusual.
Yeah, but, definitely. Yeah. I was curious, your buddy Caesar, is that right? That pointed out just the network and stuff to you. Is he a stay-at-home dad as well?
In between, like he does work from home, but his kids are older now. Okay, but he still picks them up. He still finds the time. So cool. He's been a work at home, stay-at-home dad.
So did he find HomeDadCon, or was it like you kind of got like, hey, here's the network, and then you found the convention? How did that all kind of come about that you got that set up?
Yeah, I think he found it from like another friend of his locally that was kind of having that conversation. He's like, hey, I found this group, and yeah, when he told me about it, I read more, saw the podcast, listened to, I was like, oh, this is a great channel. And then I saw the DADCon convention was coming up, and said, any applications for presenters and speakers, and I put together this DADennial, have the book, ready to be out there. But yeah, I've been working on trying to put this into locally, doing speaking engagements with it, and try to get feedback. And this is, an opportunity that I felt like was a great opportunity to come out to Milwaukee, which I think I was listening to your podcast once again in the car today. I heard it's like one day is the old fashioned day of old fashions or something like that. So that could be that could be a different kind of a DADennial. We'll go back to 1950s dad.
That's
old fashions, and
that's all good. Yeah,
it has deep roots. It really surprised me because I just moved up to Wisconsin just not even 2 years ago. So there's a lot of things you think of. Well, this is this, but haha, it's just a stereotype. No, absolutely. People have asked me, well, do you know how to make an old fashioned? I'm like, I don't know what an old fashioned is. I don't really drink that much. So and I'm a much more singular guy. Give me a scotch. Okay. That's good. I don't need to, let's do fine. And the fact that they're having one that is it old fashioned day?
It's old fashioned day. Yep.
Is that the way you call it? So it's so it's your annual old fashioned. And then we're having Drink Wisconsinly come over and teach us how to make old fashions. And I'm like, this is perfect, for dads. It's perfect because a lot of that, even if you don't live, here in the Midwest, whatever, but a lot of that nostalgia almost of an old fashioned, because it is, it's literally old fashioned. It's an
been around
ancient
forever.
drink. It's been around forever, right? And I can see, maybe not my dad, but I can see dads of that generation being like, "Oh no, I'll have an old fashioned." Of course you will. Yeah.
The Mad Men.
Let me make you one, because now I know.
Right. Exactly. I am curious about one thing, Mike, though. So your buddy tells you about it, you find it. I'm just curious, what was the wife's reaction
to what?
To when you were like, "Hey, I found this convention for stay-at-home dads."
Oh,
did she have a reaction to it?
Side note of her only reaction was, because she's very supportive, and now I think, as I was saying, like now she gets it more of, when she got that reaction from people that she knew a few years back. Yeah, no, she's very positive and supportive and thinking that this is a great thing.
Oh, that's great.
She was not too thrilled in the fact of it happens to fall on the same weekend as her anniversary. But hey,
you're not the only one.
This, her words, not mine. She's like, listen, it's already over 13 years, 12 years. Sorry. So, we'll just do it the next day. Well, it's not.
There you go.
With having kids, we never really have dinner. Actually, go out on the actual day, so we'll go out the following weekend. It's not. So even she's like, it's perfectly fine. This is no, she's happy. She wishes she could probably come, and definitely wants to see it. And yeah, she's been supportive since I was unemployed and said, hey, I know it's maybe our fourth date, but I'm going to go back to school and going to be in psychology and see where that takes me. So she's been very supportive since day one.
Your wife sounds like she falls right in the same category as Danny's wife and my wife, as far as like, yeah, like I could come hang out, like kind of deal, and be around like that. And my wife actually, at some point she's probably gonna end up coming with me, because she keeps wanting, like, she's always like, oh, I want to go like meet, some of the guys and do that kind of thing. And just I'm like, yeah, that's fine. And then you can just kind of have your own time by yourself, reading books or whatever, while I'm off, doing the convention stuff. So
my first one, my wife went, and she stayed. She's an introvert, so she stayed in her room and she knit. And I don't even think we went out to dinner. We had breakfast together every day. I know that, but I'd go to the convention, I'd do all the things. Then I'd go to go back to the hotel and like, hey, everybody's having, dinner over here, whatever. You okay? And she'd barely look up. She goes, I love you. And just keep knitting, but it was a great vacation for us, especially with our kids being younger and just having, being at our wits' end with these little things, and needing to get away from it. So I don't want to like say, let's all bring our wives. That's a lot of extra people. And there's, I mean, honestly, Okay, I love my wife. Everybody knows I love my wife, but I don't mind getting 2-3 days away from her. I don't.
Yeah.
I
No.
mean, it's not because
From
we've been
a
married a long time. It's just I need a break. I just need some. I need some alone time.
yeah, that's from a therapist perspective. That is, I think, another piece of the DADennial part of it is that to say that is nothing wrong with saying that. Of I always see it, and from my understanding from reading different psychologists and the family dynamics of it's healthy to, you're a better dad, you're a better husband when you take time for yourself or
Mhm.
time with other friends if you need that, cycle and
Self-care
balance
is
and
best
trying to keep it.
care.
Yeah,
I feel
of
like that's
course.
a
And
I
Self-care is
feel like
best
that's
care.
a yep.
I need
I
a
feel like that's a
t-shirt.
question that comes up though a lot, like with the newer attendees. Like they register
yeah,
and then they're like immediately one of the questions that gets asked is like, is this a family thing? Like, can I bring
right.
my family? Can I bring my wife? And it's like a lot of the veteran guys have to be like, I mean, you can, but like just so
Yeah,
you're aware, like these are all the things that take place, and you really got to set up boundaries that say like, I'm here to do these things, and it needs to be known that you can't, like I'm not here to be leaned on for support while I'm here. Like, I don't know, like that's to me, like that's the thing. It's like there's got to be a boundary set in place.
Yeah. Are we bringing the kids too? Because I don't want to work
no,
while I'm at the convention.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I don't need to take
no.
the show on the road. It's bad enough just doing it in the house
Well, the
every day.
last dad I remember doing that was Matt Strain when we were down in Orlando, because they went to Orlando and then they were there and then they had the
Wasn't
convention.
she was on a panel, wasn't
She was on a panel, but the kids were there
Yeah.
too. So yeah, but I remember that, like, just juggling basically. I mean,
Mhm.
even last year out in Phoenix, Gerard actually brought his youngest, had him strapped to his
Oh, he
chest and
sure
everything.
did.
And
I kept hearing that little baby. I'm like, does that baby need me? I think that baby needs me.
I think that's one of those big stigmas that kind of we were talking about before. That's still it's very embedded out of right. I mean, I can't speak for your dads, but my dad and I know others that they didn't really have friends. They either worked or were at home, and maybe they went out every now and then with
Mhm.
somebody to golf or something.
yeah,
And I think that's really carried over from societal and also think sitcom wise. That's a big part of how we were raised, and I think that's just kind of that norm of wife knows best, and your spouse, and you're supposed to work and come home and take care of the kids. And I think right as good it is for encouraging, like I encourage my wife of go take your weekend, your friends coming down, go ahead, have a good time, I'll take care of the kids. I'm going to DADCon, I'm doing my own thing. I think it really hit me, and I added it into DADennial because it really hit me when actually we're in St. Andrews. It was me and a buddy of mine, and and you could tell if all the American tourists had their spouses with them. It was like me and my guy friend were like one of the very few, but all the Europeans going, it was all guys. It was that different shift of like they knew it was this is a thing that guys remember going to a place like that, doing that thing.
yeah,
Well, we were like having guys, like married guys, come up to us, me and my friend, of like, you know, just talking to us because they were like, I've been talking to my wife all week. Like she wanted,
Mhm.
I wanted to do this and I didn't have any other guy friends. So like, yeah, sure. We'll go spend a, trip in Scotland. She wanted to see Scotland. We did the castle. We did this, we did that. And now I'm here like doing one thing I want to do, but you can't like, she likes it, but she's not like, you can't, you want to go find another guy. Like, isn't this awesome? Isn't this great? Look at this picture.
Mhm.
Look at where we are. But, and there's nothing wrong with either side. It's just
yep.
that just feeling of, okay, of, yeah, you can do that and you should do that. You should both be able to do that. And that creates, I think we lose that mindset of, but that creates being a better dad and because you're rested and a better husband because
Mhm.
you become more aware of like, all right, had a nice weekend. All right, back at home.
Well,
Back,
you're
back
getting to
here on
build
Monday.
into your self-care type stuff with that, like, I mean,
Mhm.
you've got all the guys who are like, hey, I'm big into D&D, so we've got groups of guys going to do a thing for that this year. We've got guys who are like, I really am big into football and we're really close to a very iconic stadium, and so a group of guys are doing going up to Lambeau. There's guys who are like, I'm really passionate
So that,
about craft beer, and like there's the craft, gonna go to different breweries, and then me and some guys are gonna go hit a game at Wrigley Field. And so it's like all these different things, and it's like, more times than not, your spouse is not into sometimes the same things that you're into. So it's nice to be able to go and do that and just really get energized by that and come back and have just that story to tell, or to be able to connect with some of the other local dads that you maybe hang out with and be like, I got to go do this, man, which can also be fun because you're like, make them a little jealous. Like, oh man, I've been wanting to do something. It's like, go do it. Like, get out
it's
there.
for your health. I mean, there's plenty of studies.
Mhm.
There's plenty of stuff out there that shows that men that have friends throughout their adult life live longer because they're, it just is. It just,
Well, we're made to do that, and a lot of what we've done culturally over the last several generations, really, of being like the strong silent type. You're not allowed to have any emotion other than, you can be angry. Angry's fine, and you can cry if like your mom or your dog dies, and that's it. That's all you get. And anything beyond that, you just had to suck it up. You had to sit on it. You had to just, hold it in. And we've proven, scientifically proven, that's bad. That will make you die earlier. You're just tearing yourself apart.
Yeah.
And the amount of emotions, because it's really interesting to me that, while women are so emotional, they're allowed to be. There's nobody telling them don't. There's nobody making fun of them for it. There's nobody, just disrespecting them or calling them weak or vulnerable, or, you're a terrible person because you cried. Men need that too. We have just as many emotions. We may show them differently. And I know a lot of us, I show all my emotions. It's just heart on my sleeve. That's who I am. But a lot of us still have issues, or not issues really, but trouble saying what we're feeling. And a part of that comes into, and I've been doing a little reading with one of the other dads about the friendship deficit and the stark reality that you mentioned earlier, that we have no friends. Whereas when you're a kid, you make friends. You just look at another kid and you're like, hey, you want to go play ball? Yeah, I'll go play ball.
Yeah.
Boom. Best friends forever. And until until you die, you're still friends with that person. And all you have is those memories that you built up in sharing something, doing something together. And it's just as easy technically when you're an adult, but we're all taught to not show that, to not open up and be, I don't have any friends. I'd like to have a friend. Do you want to be my friend? Do you want to go play ball? Let's play ball. And that's such a simple thing that is not in any way easy, that we run into constantly. And especially the isolation you get with this job. I mean, we've talked about, Brock and I have talked about it before. I won't rehash all of it, but the reality of, it's just me. Well, I'll take my kids to the playground and go hang out with other parents. Nope. They don't want to talk to you. That's the mom's group. Well, where the dads go? Well, they drop the kids off with the mom. It's just so, everything that we have is just almost structured to where you're not allowed to be that person. You're not allowed to share in that emotion. And it's what we all need so badly.
Danny, you made a point that,
right.
Yeah, I say, Danny, you made a point that was really interesting to me. And I've talked with other dads about this before, the friendship deficit thing. So it was brought to my attention a few years back. Somebody was talking about how, like, think back to how easy it was to make friends, and then how many friends do you have now? And I remember the question was posed, if you were to die, like, and you have pallbearers at your funeral, like, who are your friends that are going to be the ones that are going to carry? Can you name 4 friends? Basically, was one of the things. Like, can you name 4 people that, like, whatever? And it was really wild. A lot of the guys in the group that I was in when that was posed, they couldn't come up with 4 friends. They could barely come up with 2. And I was like, wow. It was very like eye-opening to me, because at that point in time, I had really invested a lot of time into building up the dads group and getting to know lots of guys. And I felt like, I feel like I have quite a few guys that I would call friends in those groups now. And it's interesting, the amount of men who, they just don't have that. It's not, it's like a third or fourth thought, honestly, to everything else going on in the world.
I think that's actually kind of what I was going to just say in terms of my own, unresearched research of from working with so many families, I feel like the one thing I hear more and more when I know what you're talking, I know exactly what you're talking about with the friendship deficit in the article, um, is that the one thing I would hear is, well, it's just normalized of your friends go on the back burner, right? It's encouraged for your spouse's friends, like they need their friends to get through, having a kid, being there for postpartum. Like it's all a known thing of you have to keep your friends because it's known on that side of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's now known on our side, but still of that learned behavior, that piece of like, well, when things get tough, who's someone's got to go in the back burner. That's friends, and I think we can all, if we just stop and close our eyes, we can probably think of at least one or two friends of that we had that just kind of fell off through time of they just got busy and what goes in the back burner. But no, it's not the spouses. I think it has to be that equal playing field of, that's the one thing I kept hearing of, yeah, I'd like to see my friends, but we just got too busy, and she was going away and I was doing this and the kids were doing that. So yeah, maybe I'll give them a call sometime. And that's kind of what I would say on sessions of, well, why don't you just reach out, just send a text of,
yeah,
but I don't know when I can hang out, or I don't know, there's so many things going on, and it's normalized. It's trying to, like, how do we break that cycle of, it's almost in a way pushing it of, no, we need this. Like it should be as equally as important of, and speaking for myself of, I never really knew about, there's postpartum for women, but it's also the postpartum for men.
Oh yeah,
and I never really knew about that, or for myself, kind of going through that with my first son, of that isolation and feeling alone. And my wife had started a new job, so I had to kind of stop working at my agency, so I didn't even have that. And it was even hard for me to say, if when people would ask, like, oh, what do you do? I'm a dad, but I'm a therapist. It's like still trying to, like, to other guys, it felt weird, and I was feeling very isolated and alone. And being a therapist of, like, well, I need to dig in here and figure out what's going on with me here, kind of self therapize. And this is all kind of where DADennial comes from, and where I want to see it go. I would love to see, these podcasts and beyond, of reaching, as DADCon does, of reaching more and more dads, parents, guys, of kind of understanding of, no, this is important. We need to do this for us as a society, as a culture, as a parent, as a husband, as spouse. This is what we need to go forward. Of kind of goes back to, like, we know through the Me Too and all those movements of, we know what bad guys are. We know how to get, this needs to go. And we saw that. Now let's promote, let's work towards, let's get to that next level of what men are, should be, can be, will be, all these kind of different thoughts and ideas, and kind of keep pushing that agenda forward. I think is definitely where it needs to go. And that's what I'd love to see, and help be a piece of that, trying to push that forward and trying to get that message out there.
Definitely.
Excellent.
So we're coming up against the wall on things. I just wanted to real quickly, like, give you a chance to sort of just pitch a little bit of what exactly you're going to be looking to present at the convention. And then tell us how folks can find you online.
Sure. First, you'll have to let me know more about the old-fashioned thing. I did not know about that. I did not have an email about that. I need to be on that. Hopefully it's not the same day I'm speaking, so I don't know which day it is yet, if it's going to be Friday or Saturday.
It's the 22nd.
After.
But it's in the evening, I believe.
The convention, yeah. No, we planned that. Yeah.
Good. All right. That's good. So what I'll be pitching, I feel like just a lot of what we've been talking about.
You kind of covered it all.
I was gonna say, I wondered if that was the case. Yeah.
Let's just boil it down.
I think the one thing that'll add to it is, and this is just for guys in general, to kind of make it fun. I remember over COVID, there was a therapist that was having moms kind of go out there and have like a group who would scream. And I was like, well, guys need that. I need to go out and just go in a park and scream in COVID. I need to get out of this house. And that's where I started creating of, well, men are lions, so let it out now. Let's create lion as like an acronym. And it's silly and it's fun. And that's one thing I always like to do in the podcast. And that's something I'm going to do, I think, is easy and simple, and it's just stupid enough to keep in your mind of, let's let out our emotions. Let's let out our feelings. And that's one of the first things I will do there. And I like to do on my podcast. And I wanted to share with you guys too, of, how just trying to think for ourselves of let it out now, of whether it's emotion, whether it's a positive, a negative, happy, sad, just kind of at the end of the day of what's your line, let's let it out now. You can go to DADennial.com, DADennial. You can find the podcast through there. You can find it on Spotify and Apple and all the other fine outlets there for podcasts. I'll hopefully be having a DADennial and Let It Out Now kind of t-shirt to promote some of the stuff. And hopefully the DADennial book will be out in the near future too. I'm on Facebook and DADennial at DADennial. And hopefully I encourage people to go to these sites, and you can leave your Let It Out Now. You can leave your comments after listening to the podcast too, and give me some ideas or questions too of asking a therapist. That's a fun part of my podcast as well.
That's awesome, man. No, thank you so much for sharing all that. You said the Let It Out Now, the lion's roar type thing. I immediately had this like Dead Poets Society primal yelp. That goes back to Yelp. Yeah, the Yelp. So that's I immediately, when you said it, I was like,
it can just be a sound.
Yeah. So that's
where
awesome.
It stems from. You can just be a sound. It can be anything you want it to be. It's your Let It Out, whether it's in a car, in your room, or walking down the street.
I have a feeling if you do that in your presentation, you will have plenty of participation from the folks, from the guys in the room. I'm sure that we all can rattle the walls and ceilings in the room doing a lion roar for you.
Mine might come out like a cat. Like a cat that got hit by a truck, little yelp. I'll have to work on that. I got a couple months.
Yeah, you got some time. It's all good though. But it's coming along real soon. So man, I'm looking forward to meeting you in person. I'm hoping that
you as well.
Yeah, that you got a few weeks coming up before you actually have to head a little west to come hang out with us for a weekend. But I'm excited, man. I'm really happy that you were able to connect with us and make this happen. And I'm looking forward to sharing an old fashioned with you and talking further. So,
cheers to that. No, definitely, it's a pleasure meeting you guys. I'm glad I got to be the first speaker out there. So set the bar nice and high. So
that's right.
See,
everybody else, just try.
Everyone else. Yeah,
there we go. All right. Well, hey, thanks again. You have a good one. We'll talk to everybody else next week.
Good night, everybody.
I'm a dad, that's what I do.